Guys, welcome to another episode of Morning Tea, where we sit in our sleepwear and discuss current events. My name is Wahima, but just call me Wah. And today's tea was iced cream Bulgarian tea by the Mountain Witch Tea Company. I drank it already, so it's not here right now, but trust that it was very good. Okay, so let's jump in I can't speak today, so today's gonna be a rough day. Let's jump into our topics for today. So Oscars so white, hashtag Oscars so white. So there has been some controversy with the Oscars. I feel like the Oscars has been so white. I mean, every couple of years they throw a bone, they add a little spice to it. But like I've said in other videos, especially in my Hot Topic video where I talked about why YouTube was so white, which I will link above, they're not going to. We need to have a whole revamping of this system. Even though Black people are 47% of the moviegoers in this country, they are still not necessarily catered to, and that's just the way it's going to be. Black people and people of color. You know what's very interesting is that sometimes when I say people of color, it's because I want to be inclusive, but other times I feel like, why should I be inclusive for other people when they're not fighting their own fights? Are the Latinos fighting their fights? I mean, maybe they are and I'm just not aware of it. I guess I will only speak for the Black experience. As a Black person, I'm not going to try to speak for other people of color because I don't want to make an argument for people who don't want to argue for themselves. You get what I'm saying? It's not my job. It's not my place. I'm out of it. Cheryl Boone is the president of the Academy. She is a African-American woman, and she had a response basically saying that there's still a long way to go, and that she is saddened by the situation with the Oscars being so white this year, but they're so white every year. Like, I mean, yes, sometimes they throw a bone and it's different, but like people are going to, the majority of the people who make up the ruling voting system of the Academy are white. So they are going to go with themselves. Like, it's human nature, and I don't expect anything better of them. Even though we've been having this Black Lives Matter movement for 2 years now, I don't expect anything different from them because they don't think there's a problem. You know, like they don't look at themselves and say, hey, something is flawed in the system. The fact that most of the people who get these awards are white. Academy doesn't see it that way. They don't see themselves as being discriminatory because they don't get it. They're not people of color. They're not women. They're not these people. They don't understand Straight Outta Compton. They watch Straight Outta Compton and they can't see past their own prejudices about this world. They don't see that the actor who played Eazy-E, let me find his name so I can just say it. You know, they don't see Jason Mitchell as being a very good actor because they don't understand. They just see it as whatever it is, however white people see movies like Black Outta Compton. However, is that white people see movies like Straight Outta Compton. They don't see how Jason Mitchell did such an amazing job. They're not looking at that. Did they even watch Straight Outta Compton? Do they even know the story of NWA and how well this movie was put together? Maybe not. They don't care. You know, they're gonna nominate some obscure movie, The Danish Girl or whatever, with white people in it because that's what they understand. That's what they feel some sort of emotional attachment to. And it's like, I understand what Jada Pinkett Smith is talking about when she says that there should be a boycott. I don't think there should be a boycott. I personally don't feel like we should make white America understand the Black plight as much as we're doing. Yes, in certain instances, yes, like with Black Lives Matter, I think that movement is very, very important. But it's something as niche as the community, as Tinseltown, as Hollywood, Black people just need to do their own academy. People of color need to get together and do their own academy. That's what I feel like. Jada Pinkett Smith saying for us to boycott the Oscars. Why don't her and Will and some of the other Black powerhouses in Hollywood start their own academy? You're not going to get the Oscars to change now. By boycotting this year, you're not going to get the Oscars to change next year or the year after that or the year. It's going to take many years. It's going to take at least 10 years for the people to roll over and things to change. And I think Aunt Viv is correct as well. I think both of these women are correct. I just think that the way they're going about doing it, well, actually, I think Aunt Viv is absolutely correct. I mean, I think it's a little shady for her to call back on something that happened to Will 25 years ago when he was just a newcomer and, you know, they asked him to do something and he just wasn't brave enough to do it. I can understand him not wanting to rock the boat and not wanting for him to lose his place as the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air because he didn't want to ask for more money or he didn't want to go in with other people and ask for more money. I understand that. It takes a lot of integrity and it takes a lot of bravery to be somebody who's like, hey, I want to fight for this cause and I want to fight with the other people who are a part of my group, and I want to get us all a raise. It takes a lot of bravery to do that, and perhaps he just wasn't brave at that time in his life. But as far as boycotting it and hoping that Chris Rock is going to stop, is not going to host it, I mean, if Chris Rock chooses to not host it, I think it might be detrimental to his career. If I were him, I would not do that. I would go on ahead and host the Oscars because I've already, as a person with integrity, I've already contractually signed to do it. And I'm sure he's already gotten everything written out for it. I'm sure he's already been working on it for at least since they first told him he was going to be doing it. So if I were him, I wouldn't back out of it. No, I mean, his integrity and his professionalism is on the line with that. It's like at the end of the day, you have to write some sort of line. You can't just be the black, you know, spokesperson for all the black people in Hollywood or in America, you know, in order to appease those few who feel like you should go in there with your sword drawn, ready to chop people down. You can't. You have to work with people, you have to negotiate, and you have to figure out a way that you can get what you want without giving up, you know, who you are, or without alienating that other person that you want to give you something. That's just the way I feel. But I do like Aunt Viv's response. Like, yes, there are actors in Hollywood who need to work and don't have time to be fighting the good fight. Like, you know, there are heavy hitters in Tinseltown who are black, who have the power to change, to affect some sort of change. And it's up to them to do it. It's not up to the, you know, person who's auditioning, you know, 3 times a week trying to get a commercial, or the person who is a series regular in a show where they're one of 2 people of color, and if they put up a big stink, they may never work again in that town. If you have the power, do what you need to do in order to help those people out. You know, don't expect them to put their careers on the line, because you're not going to lose your jobs, but they are. So apparently, speaking of actors, apparently Jamie Foxx is a superhero. Apparently he heard a car crash near his home, and he went outside and pulled a guy from a car that had flipped over, and then, you know, called 911 or whatever. This is amazing. I have to wait for more information to come out on this story. But yeah, that's yay, Jamie Foxx. What an awesome person to do that. Good for him. For those of you guys who don't know what's happening in Flint, Michigan, April 2014, they decided in order to save some money, they would take the main water line that was coming from Lake Huron. Lake Huron, and move it to, I think, Flint River. And Flint River was already known to be like nasty, but they were supposed to treat the water, make sure the water was good. And the pipelines that were pumping from Lake Flint, or Flint River, it was like lead pipes, and they didn't treat the water for corrosive. So when the water got to the people, it was like gross water, and it was like lead ridden. So from April to October, they were drinking poisonous water and whatnot. And now all this is being brought to light after a lot of celebrities have jumped on the bandwagon to raise awareness to the situation. The National Guard is now there passing out water bottles for people to have safe, healthy water. And there's a lot of finger pointing, and the governor is Rick Schneider, and the Democratic presidential candidates had something to say during the debate about this situation. It was a little bit like pandering. I felt like I was just like, Hillary, you don't care about the black people of Flint. Like, stop acting like you care. Like, there's something so disingenuous about Hillary that, like, I can't put my finger on it. Like, I don't think she's a bad or evil person, but I just don't trust her. Like, she's putting on too much shine for me, and I'm not interested in it. Like, I'm not buying it. It was a little bit too much. It's like she laid it on a little too thick for me. I really do hope that Bernie wins the nomination. I worry, though, that if he does win the nomination, he's not going to win it against the Republican. But I was actually thinking about this, and this is one thing that I forgot. Bernie Sanders is Jewish. And if he were to become president, he would be the first Jewish president. And no one's talking about it because I believe that the Jews are very smart about this. They're not going to raise the fact that he's Jewish so that nobody will think about there being a Jewish president. Because if you think about it, none of the presidents have, like, it was a big deal that JFK was Catholic. It was like, oh, he's a Catholic president. Like, what the hell? Like, Catholics aren't Christian, but whatever, you know? As much as there's this black and white issue, there's also white xenophobia, which Trump represents a lot. And if there are a lot of Republican Jewish people, believe me, they're not on the side of Trump, Cruz, or any of those fools. Watch out for that. Like, no one's talking about it, and I love that no one's talking about it. But if Bernie Sanders wins the Democratic nomination, the Jews are going to come out for him. They're going to come out for him. I love it. Oh, so in St. Paul, Minneapolis, a police sergeant, M.J. Roth, that's his Facebook name. Apparently, he was on the interwebs telling people how to run over Black Lives Matters protester during Martin Luther King Day parade. And he was basically telling them, look, this is what you do. You go through, you hit them, you pull over a couple blocks away, you call 911, you say, hey, I hit this person, they were in the road. So you were feared for your safety since in the past people in this group have shown a propensity towards violence. Since they are trying to block the streets and or cross where there is no crossing, you should not be charged with anything. Now these idiots could try to sue you in civil court, but remember that will be a jury trial, so most likely it will come out in your favor. Now literally, if that isn't like blatant teaching people how to use their racism to their advantage, I don't even know what is. Like, that is crazy. Facebook name is J.M. Roth, but we're thinking that he is Sergeant Jeffrey M. Rothaker, and his wife, or someone who's claiming to be his wife with the last name Rothaker, responded in a way that was like letting everybody know that was her husband. I get so flabbergasted when there are people who really don't believe that there's a race problem in this country, because like that is such an, I mean, it's by the police, you know, obviously. Okay, so there's also allegations of a woman driving around with children in her trunk. Apparently, they made it seem like she had like kidnapped these children and put them in her trunk, but really what I think is going on is that she was like taking the kids out to pizza or something, didn't have enough room in her car, so she put 3 of them in her trunk so she could drive around with them, which is so fucking unsafe, like ridiculous. If somebody had rear-ended her, she like murder, like, you know what I'm saying? If they're like ridiculous, but like she's trying to act like she didn't do it, but she did, you know, taking them from point A to point B. But I don't understand why she just didn't, I mean, she tried to have 9 kids in her Malibu, like, and there's just no way, but like 3 of them in the trunk, like they could at least been sitting on the laps of the people in the back. Like, I don't know. I have no idea. It's dangerous. I shouldn't laugh. It's dangerous. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching Morning Tea. I hope you learned something. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, or would like to join the conversation, please leave them down below. Okay. Bye.